Hi, this is Benandorf, and today we will be playing Victoria 2 Heart of Darkness, a new expansion pack for Paradox Interactive's Victoria 2, which is a grand strategy game where you take any country that exists in 1836, try to lead them to glory through the use of technology, military might, or colonization until the year 1936. Today we will be playing as Japan, which is a very interesting country during this time period, considering that Heart of Darkness added some new colonial mechanics, as well as giving the ability to gain research points from conquering neighbors as an uncivilized country. I believe that's about enough of an intro, so without any further ado, let's play Victoria 2, Heart of Darkness. Alright, first things first. Before unpausing the game, there's a few things we need to do. First off, it looks like we're at a very large deficit, so I'm going to go in and raise the taxes on all pops. I'm going to raise education by the 1%, which is all that it needs to gain a little bit of a boost. And same to defense spending. Looks like I can do the early Meiji restoration, but if I wait until I am in a sphere of influence, well, actually, it would appear that the early one is the better one, since they both give the same amount of research points, and the early one gives land reform. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that, which will of course raise militancy pretty high, but whatever. Other than that, I'm going to focus on trying to get some of these early military reforms, and then I will invade Korea. Because, after all, what's not to like? So many pops and plenty of space once I can get industrializing. Alright. Before I unpause the game, I'm going to try and move some of these armies closer together. I probably will have to disband a few of them here sooner or later, just because of the sheer price of them, but for the moment it should be alright. And I'm going to build another 5 Clipper transports so that I can move 6 units at once. And lastly, I'm going to set the national focus in my largest province to clergymen so that I can raise this literacy, increase the number of clergymen, and get some additional research points, and basically just do all the things that I need to do to get towards civilizing. So yeah, I'm going to put it at 3 speed and unpause. No, 4 speed. And it looks like we jump out to some pretty large gains, so I'm going to raise education and administration a little bit, just so that way we can start cranking away at this literacy. Ooh, whenever I can afford to actually buy any of this Clipper Convoy stuff, it's bankrupting me, so I'm going to drop administration again. But leave education. Well, I guess I need to drop it too. I'm going to combine some of these armies, move 6 over there at a time, and I'm going to start with war justification on Korea. Hopefully that will work out okay. One of the biggest new features in Heart of Darkness is the newspaper, which, depending on faction and country, has its own special title. In this case, in Japan, it's something I can't read in Japanese. As well as, in this paper, it will contain some information about wars and new dominions being released, relations, which really aren't that useful for me, major events, and then some nice little flavor type, just some nice little flavor articles like this fishhook robbery and horrific puppets that just gives us a little bit of information about what was going on historically at the time. Right, so I'm going to unpause again. It looks like we have some nice samurai here, and they're all irregulars, but that should be alright. At least for the moment. I should have enough for another reform here before too long. Probably going to wait out and get foreign weapons. just for the flintlock rifles, although the land organization's pretty useful. Oh, it looks like our money's spiking up, so I'm going to raise spending on education and administration. Both are very important, of course, especially this early on. Oh, looks like our Clipper transports are starting to get built. Maybe I can put together a decent-sized navy before I try and invade Korea. It's looking like only another 100 days before I do that. We just got an event which will lower CB generation speed, so it'll take about 25% longer, probably 125 days now. I still haven't been found out, though, so really what that just means is that it likely will increase the infamy that I incur. And speak of the devil, here's some infamy. So, I'm going to speed it up to the highest speed, and keeping an eye on spending. I'm going to lower down naval spending a little bit. After all, these transports probably shouldn't be fighting, so that should free up a little bit more cash to spend on education and administration. And now I'm just waiting for this war to go through. Going to turn off the rally point. No reason to do that if there's nothing else I'm building at the moment. And there we go. So, going to go ahead and declare war. Let's conquer Korea. First thing first, just need to land some men on their territory. One of the interesting things about that Heart of Darkness did for the war system is that now the speed of sieging changes depending on the speed of sieging changes depending on the number of units that are currently besieging any given area. So with only one brigade there, it will be very, very slow. And with 30,000 or more men, it could be as fast as a week or 2 weeks without any forts. It increases the value of forts, especially in the late game when armies are large. And in addition to that, no matter the size and the supply limit, there's always a minimum of 2% attrition when sieging a province to represent partisans and just generally bad conditions. So you can't just park an army once you get high enough technology and siege without any problems. It looks like we just got an event that Kobe now has gold, which should be a nice little boost to our finances, which are running a little low, so certainly is not a bad thing. We've begun to occupy, so moving over the next... I'm going to go ahead and move over the next unit of 18,000 men. I have no idea what size the Korean army is at the moment, so the more men I can get on the ground, the better. Another newspaper, nothing super interesting here, except apparently there's a very large storm incoming, and Bach seems to have played some sort of musical thing. I think he's some sort of musician, but, you know, I haven't ever heard of him. I'm sure he's not as good as, say, the Rolling Stones. Alright, and we have a military reform, so I'm going to go ahead and take that one just because the extra organization would be nice, plus I really could use the research points from conquering. So, it causes a little bit of militancy, but our militancy is very low at the moment, so I'm not overly concerned. I'm going to try and move this unit out. Oh. Yeah, I might as well. It looks like their only units are the 18,000 up here, so I figure I might as well just go ahead and move my men down here and cut off some of the Koreans that are in Seoul. And now we just wait for all of these occupations. It looks like we're getting Bonin occupied by Korea. We may have to move somebody over there to stop them. Oof. I guess I'm going to pay the 1,000 instead of just letting these people starve and gaining militancy and losing 10%, but 4% of population is still nothing to scoff at. And I'm going to go ahead and slow down the game a little bit just to give us more time to react. And raise education and administration again, since there's plenty of money flowing at the moment. I'm going to move this navy back towards the strait so that I can move one of these armies off to protect Bonin and all 15 people there. But hey, every person's important in our grand empire. Alright, into the first year, it looks like the Conservatives have taken a lot of power in the upper house. As a result of that, I might as well go ahead and switch over to the court faction, which is Conservative, just because I figure it'll keep them a little bit less angry about everything. See, it lowered militancy ever so slightly, and the speed that it's dropping is pretty high, so we shouldn't have too much to worry about there. We have an incoming Korean army. I might just go ahead and... well, I'll go take care of Bonin and then come back. Koreans start to reoccupy what I just took, but as soon as I'm done in Pusan, I will reoccupy, or I will attack them and stop them from freeing this particular area. Another major part of Victoria 2, or of the Heart of Darkness expansion, is the naval system, which is far more complex, a lot like Hearts of Iron 3, if any of you have played that. Essentially, the navies have to get within range of their cannons, and then will attack the enemy ships until the enemy ship either sinks or disengages or retreats. And there's a lot more to it than just the simple die rolls that happened before this expansion. Looks like we got another occupation, so I'm going to move them on over and beat up the 15,000 trying to reoccupy Gwangju. I don't know how to spell that. Gwangju. All of this is going pretty much according to plan right now. I have enough numbers that I should knock the Korean ships out of the water, or at least push them away so that I can successfully defend Bonin. Alright, it looks like we've engaged over here. And we're not having a ton of success, but we won the naval battle, so gonna go ahead and defend Bonin. Should be able to wipe out these 5,000 without too much problem. And we should win in Gwangju, but it might be pretty close. Yep, see? No problem with Bonin, so let's get back on the ships and head back to the Korean Peninsula. Maybe reinforce our brothers in arms. There we go. Pushed them back. I'm going to go ahead and move that army so that I can follow up and capture the... or I'm going to go ahead and follow them up, and hopefully I'll rout them when I get to the next province. Looks like Korea is starting to move some more troops to fight back, but these should be their only two armies, in addition to the ones I wiped out in Bonin, so hopefully I won't have too many problems after this point. And they run off to Gwangju, so once I finish... yep, I finished... Now that I'm done occupying here, I'm going to move them on south to Gwangju and block them off. Koreans have pretty much no chance at this point. I will overrun them within another few months, and, well, maybe another year. And then it's just a matter of occupying, and then voila, I have Korea. It looks like since we have no militancy, Old Man in the Sea just popped up, so I'm just going to take the fish, sell them off later if I need to, just to have a little bit of a bank account. Right, and we completely wiped out the army at Gwangju, so without any casualties. So it was we completely just ran them down. I assume that means they had absolutely no morale left. So that's 8,000 men we don't have to worry about. And we're just going to continue to occupy Korea. Should finish occupying about the same time as the enemy army in Gangneung. I could go ahead and move it, but it's probably worth it. I should be able to finish occupying and still get over there in time to defend. So I'm going to just let them be for the moment. The Imperial fleet, such as it is I will move into the Korea Bay to do a little bit of blockading, which should lower their income and raise militancy and generally just screw up their country. Serves them right for trying to resist the great Japanese Empire. Alright, another one in the bag. And I'm going to send these irregulars to fight and hopefully run off the army trying to re-occupy Kangnung. I'll reinforce them with another army as soon as I can get them there. Ooh, and that was not a very successful battle. They had a general, and I did not. That was probably a very poor decision on my part. I'm going to go ahead and build up 4 more regulars and a couple cavalry to speed up the process of taking Korea. There we go. Pohang is done. So I'm going to just move this devastated army back from the front lines and let them relax and rest a little bit. Thankfully, this army actually has a general, and a pretty good one, although the lower morale means that if they lose this battle, it'll be a while before they get back into another one. But the higher attack should allow them, yeah, they're just wiping the floor with the Koreans now. And complete wipeout. Excellent. So I'm going to send them to Seoul to start occupying there, and move this smaller army over to Gwangju just to hold tight while they reinforce. About 2250 a month, so shouldn't take too long to get back up to fighting strength. Taigu's finally finished occupying, so I'm going to move them on over to a new place too. At this point, it looks like the Korean army is completely gone, so all I need to do is just sort of hang tight and slowly take over all these provinces until they surrender. I'm going to go ahead and speed up the game a little bit more, just to get the occupation through. After this month, I'll move this smaller army back into an occupying position. Has a decent general, so I'm moving them on back. Our money's doing alright for the moment. Not great, but adequately enough. And the next 18,000 should be done soon, but I may just go ahead and leave them back on the home islands, because there's really not any need for any more troops in Korea. It'll just cause a bunch of attrition, so I have time. Plenty of time. Forms are building up slowly, so at this point I'm just sort of sitting here waiting for everything to finish up and waiting for all the occupations to be done.